Hello, how are you? I'm Kayla, and this is Mr. Business. He's being so nice to say hi. And this is Flosstube. I believe it's Flosstube 24. We'll see if nope, he's gone. And bye, thanks for coming. Flosstube 24. Today is Monday, January 30th, 2023. So it's been a 1 day short of a month. And yeah. Figured I'd pop in for an update while I had, a few minutes to do that. So we're facing a different angle today. We're about to repaint the living room, which is back there, but we have a bunch of stuff behind where I usually sit. So like from the living room, because my husband's been spackling and doing repair work and stuff. Anyway, so I figured we'd try this angle. You can see some cross stitch stuff up there. And sorry if you can hear the clock. It's an old clock. Anyway, hi. How you doing? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. I've got only a few things of cross stitch to share. I also have more knitting than I even expected to share, so that's good. I mentioned quickly in my last video that one of my goals this year is to knit more, especially from stash. Because if you don't know, before I started cross stitching, I knitted as my main craft, and I still really like knitting, but I was kind of taking a break besides doing the occasional accessory and pair of socks. Like while I was losing weight and stuff quicker, I didn't want to be knitting garments. So anyway, but I've been having that bug of wanting to knit more. So I've been knitting more. I have cross stitch, just a tiny bit of secondhand haul, and a tiny bit of talk of plans. And I also took a little video of the chicken ladies the other day, so I'll put that in here somewhere, maybe at the end. Mr. Bean, my other kitty, is sleeping, and also our dog Murphy is sleeping, so they probably won't make an appearance. Oh, it's our dog, speaking of our dog, his birthday, his 12th birthday is tomorrow, which is pretty old for any dog, but especially he's a Rottweiler, so usually they're only like an 8 to 10 year range. And yeah, he's quite the old man. He's a really good boy. So we have some doggy ice cream to give him tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. Okay, trying to think what's new. Besides, maybe I should just stop talking and start sharing. So anyway, the weekend after I last filmed, right? Because New Year's Eve, I don't know what day that was. Was that a Saturday? Whatever. The Sunday, yes, it was a Saturday. So that Sunday, I put in one word and this heart symbol from, I should probably show you first, Lizzie Kate Prayer of St. Francis. I mean, one word and a symbol every month is not going to get me very far. But I did finish the Where There Is Hatred and put in a heart, so yay. I believe I might have been cooking, so I was kind of like, or maybe, I don't know. I don't remember what I was doing, but I didn't get very far. So that's kind of pathetic. But those are my own colors of DMC. I'm just gonna, we'll just move on. It's a little sad. But then really what I spent most of January stitching on, majority of January stitching on, in fact, I wanted it to be pretty much the only thing I stitched on besides the one word and the heart from the Lizzie Kate, is I wanted to spend a good deal of time on Long Dog Sampler's Froth and Bubble. Because I'd mentioned in my whip parade that it's one I would really like to get finished this year, and I had a lot left to do. I only had the outline and then these two panels done. And man, I really hoped that I would make more progress. I feel like I always hope I'll make more progress, but all things considered, it is a lot of stitching. So I got all of these words done. So now the words are done. Kindness in another's trouble, courage in your own. So life is mostly froth and bubble, and two things stand like stone we're already in. But kindness in another's trouble and courage in your own was not in. And then I did almost all of the outlining. As you can see, I still have 1, 2, 3, like I have half of that done, and these two on this side to do, plus all the fill-in. But this is a lot of stitching. And now I am doing 2/2 because this is 32 count. So, you know, it eats obviously double the amount of floss than if you're doing 1/1, say. But yeah, that's like a skein and a half at least of 310 DMC. So, you know, it's a lot of stitching. It's quite large. I really was hoping to get the panel filled, like completely outlined and filled in, or completely outlined and moving on to the panel underneath. And, you know, I'm still working on it slowly, but I've honestly kind of lost steam. So I want to at least get this outlining finished before I like take a break with it. And when I was originally, you know, when I started working on this and did each of these 2 panels, what I did was outlined them in their entirety, like the whole panel, and then I filled it in, and then I took a big break, and then I did the next one, outlined, filled it in, and so on. I think moving forward, at least for now, you know, how I change my plans at the drop of a hat, but I think moving forward, what I'll want to do is just continue with the outlining in these 2 panels. So, you know, I'll just have a bunch of black shapes for now and then fill it in after that. I feel like it'll, sorry, I just like almost spit everywhere, sorry. I feel like it'll be more motivating for me to have the outlining done, or like moving towards done and then doing the fill-in. And I still really like this. I just kind of lost steam. Plus, of course, I didn't stitch every single day. Some days I knit and some days I didn't have time to do anything. And I noticed as like this month has, like this last week especially, I've wanted to grab this less and less. So I can just tell like I'm kind of just wanting to try do something else for now. But I am quite happy. I mean, this was the largest panel and therefore the most intimidating to me, because I was like, wow, that's a lot of stitching. And it's hard to tell because this is a small cover page, but there's like a lot of color changes. Wow, I'm shaking a lot. There's a lot of color changes, obviously within the outlines, but also like even just like in this stem and this flower, you know, it's gonna be a lot, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so that's what I spent most of the month stitching on, cross stitch wise. Oh, the other thing is, I had mentioned probably the last time I shared this. What am I trying to say? The words at the bottom, the courage in your own line, in the model and in the chart, it has, you know, space for your initials and then, you know, a year. And I just didn't like that the words weren't centered like the other ones. And so I omitted that. And I just figured out the spacing instead of, you know, starting it way over here. It was 25, I think, stitches on each side that I had to leave. So I did that. And then my plan is just to do like a back stitched, my initials and the date back stitch somewhere in this panel, probably hidden in there. Because I don't think they need to be that big too. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. I really, honestly, okay, so this was kind of, you know, Carol from Saltbox Stitcher, probably, because she's fantastic. So I love Carol. I never miss a video, but she spends her January, she picks a new project, right? And then she stitches on it the whole January until she finishes it. And she just finished hers early, actually, like overachiever. Just kidding. And it's beautiful. Margaret Felicia Dyson, something like that. It's a fox and rabbit chart. Anyway, but I didn't want to start a new big project because I already have lots of big projects. So I thought I'll spend January working on a huge project that I actually want to finish this year. And now I know that we have different lives and different stitching times, and I don't stitch as much as she does and blah, 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 blah. But I was like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool if I would finish this and be like, surprise guys, I have a huge finish. Yeah, I didn't even finish this panel, but I am still happy that I made lots of progress. And I mean, really just like probably 2 days, depending on how much time I have to dedicate, I could finish this panel outlining. And then I'll be ready to move on to those panels for outlining, which they're smaller. So it'll, you know, it'll be a little less time, right? It's probably like equal amounts of stitching in those two panels as this one panel. That's my guesstimation. And then the other day, while the kids had school, okay, side note real quick. Do you guys, or have you seen, heard of, started watching Goose Stitcher? She is a newer floss tuber, but she updates pretty frequently, like I want to say weekly. So she's got a lot of videos already. I can't remember her first name, but she's hilarious. I really enjoy her videos. She's so funny. Anyway, she at one point mentioned in her videos that, like, you know, she homeschools her son. And so I guess when he's doing work, she'll have a little stitch here and there. And I don't usually do that. I homeschool my two kids, but I don't usually have something for me to do. I'm usually just like waiting for them while they're doing their independent stuff. But anyway, one day they had extra reading and stuff to do. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be like Goose Stitcher and I'm going to get a project out. So I didn't feel like doing Froth and Bubble, and it was a little too involved, right? I thought I could just pick something else. So I just took out Summer Hill by Plum Street Samplers, which is something I started in my mania last year and got very little done. I only had like 3 flowers, I think, or this one, and those flowers done. Well, not done, outlined in the one color. So now I have all of the flowers inside the hill outlined and the hill, you know, halfway outlined. So it's not a ton, but it is something. You know, it's an improvement. And now I can, like, you know, do the centers of the flowers, and there's a little bee in here. And then if I fill in the hill, or, you know, move on or do some filling on the hill and start going upwards, you know, into the rest of the design. Whatever. So it's not a ton. And like I said, I spent most of the month on Froth and Bubble. I feel like it's like kind of boring. I'm like, well, this is what I did, but it's really what I did. I don't know. Okay. I have a few. My husband thrifted a bunch of cross stitch wares, and most of which were selling on eBay because I can't use all of it. And I don't have plans for it, but I decided to keep a few things. Sorry, my eyeballs are so dry these days. So this is a Zweigart kitchen towel with cats all over it. And it just has a panel to stitch in here. I don't know, it's cute. We have the 2 cats now and they're so naughty. I don't know what I would put in it. I'd have to look up like towel borders or whatever. Like 2 naughty, rotten cats live here, but are really cute and I love them. That probably wouldn't fit. That's too much writing, but you know what I mean? So I'm going to keep this. And then this, I don't know if I'm going to use it. It's literally just a rectangle and it's red Aida. I think it's probably meant to be like a table thing because it's fringed, see? I mean, I think he paid 99 cents and it was like in a big pile of stuff. So he just brought it home and he was like, do you want this? I was like, I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'll keep it for now. It doesn't take up much room. And then the last thing, which I'm mostly excited about because it has me on this kick now of, oh, I want to finish a bunch of smalls and make them into bags, which other people have done. It's not like an original thought. And as you'll see, like they make products for it or used to make products for it. So it's definitely not an original thought. Anyway, this is the Janlin Not So Little tote in black. So it's made out of black Aida. I'm not sure what count it is. I'm guessing maybe 14 or 16 count. I haven't really even stitched on Aida, but I figure I could get used to it for, you know, this. And, ooh, I forgot to pull it up. I brought my iPad out to show you guys, you know, whoever's interested in knitting stuff to show some knitting things. But let me find the pattern I want to do on it. Sorry. I own this pattern. I just didn't print it out yet. And I think it'll be perfect on it if it'll fit. That's the other thing I have to do. Oh no, now I'm not gonna find it. Of course. It's the mouse pad. It's like little field mice. Well, I don't want to spend this whole time staring downwards. It would be really easy to find on my phone because I follow her on Instagram, but I don't have that on my iPad. Come on. Probably Etsy. Okay, hold please. Sorry. So, what did you guys do for New Year's? I know it feels like already so far away. We stayed home, shockingly. And, oh wait, I just saw it. Fiddlesticks. We stayed home and we played Cards Against Humanity Family Edition. And that was a lot of fun. We stayed up till midnight, we watched the ball drop, and then we all went to bed. So that was fun. We drank sparkling juice. This pattern, I own this pattern. I just haven't printed it yet, and I don't have a color printer anyway, so it won't look that pretty, you know, on the page, on the title page or whatever. Help. But I think this one would look so cute on that bag. So now I really want to, you know, get the threads gathered and start that now that I have something to put it on. I do have charcoal fabric, which I was considering doing this, and I have another camping toad pattern from Mama Witch Cross Stitch that I will probably end up putting on the charcoal Zweigart linen. But now I have that bag, I'm like, oh my gosh, these things will look so cute, and it's like, it'll just be perfect on there. I really want to do that. So that's my plan for that bag. And then last two things to show you cross stitch related are some plans. Well, one thing's a plan and the other thing is a maybe I'll do it, but I have to figure it out. Let me explain. Okay. So I got a gift card for Christmas for Kitten Stitcher's website. And I was going to spend most of it, or a good chunk of it anyway, on all of the threads for this pattern, which is the Tree of Life sampler. It's an antique reproduction by with a needle and thread, Brenda Gervais. And I love this tiny, it's a little tiny thing. I have a couple of the threads that go for it. I had them already. It's really small. And I was like, oh, this would be such a cute little sampler to do for spring. Great spring colors, you know, la la. But I really don't want to spend all that money on those threads, even though it's a gift card. I had them all in my cart. I was ready to go. And I was just like, I can't do it. I don't like, I like over-dyed flosses and have no problem with what other people do with their money. But I don't like spending all that money on it. I don't think this chart has a DMC conversion in it, sadly, because I usually would just use the, maybe you can see it better now, a little bit. Oh, and here's the antique. I love it, so pretty. So there's one DMC color. Yeah, and then there's like number colors next to the weeks. See? But I don't think they're a DMC conversion because here's Classic Colorworks down here and there's no numbers. So I think that's just like actually the week's number. And it's called for Weeks Dye Works beige linen. I honestly think I could just do light mocha, which I still have some of, and I think that'd be just fine on light mocha. But I want to spend some time converting these colors to DMC because I just don't want to spend the money on the overdyes. I don't know. It's just a lot of threads, you know, like I'm only showing you this way because the chart's actually on the other side because it's that small, but that's, with the exception of the top one, that's all overdyes and I only had 2 already. So anyway, it's only 89 stitches wide and 118 stitches high. So that might be something I'll do this year. I don't know, because I have to do some finagling with the colors, or want to do some finagling with the colors. I may not get to it. We'll see. But something I'm very excited about and do have all the colors for, all kitted up, ready to go, is Egg Hunt by Satsuma Street. Now, I have seen a few floss tubers doing Satsuma Street patterns. I haven't seen any doing this pattern, I don't think. I'm sure they have, but I just haven't seen it. But I just love the colors so much. They're so cheerful, like so bright and cheerful. It's a little bit, it's definitely, you know, not what I maybe typically go for, but I love it. And I'm tired of winter already. I know it's not even February and we've got some time, but it's that type of year where I'm just ready for it to be done. So this calls for a week's dye works. I want to say it's Scuppernog or something. Linen. And that was out of stock on 123 Stitch. And I was like, it's not worth the hassle of trying to find, 30 count weeks dye works Scuppernog. I was like, I'm pretty sure Zweigart Agave is going to look just great. And honestly, to me, this is Zweigart Agave. This is 36 count. Look at that. It's almost the same, isn't it? I think it's like spot on. So, you know, Zweigart Agave for the win. I'm pretty excited. So that's 36 count. So this was stitched on 30 count, like I said, and it ended up being 7 inches by 9 inches. So my version will be smaller, but I just love the colors. It's so cheerful, and that is something I definitely want to start coming up soon. Other than that, I did end up spending my gift card. Finally, I had it sitting, like I had things. First of all, Kitten Stitcher, Teresa Vinette, took some time off in January, rightfully so. And so, you know, her website, I'm shaking you, I'm trying to get this back together. Her website wasn't available for ordering, which is fine. It gave me time to ruminate on what I wanted to get, you know, which is, because otherwise I probably would have, you know, spent all the money, not all the money, most of the money on the overdyes, and then I would have been bummed because, okay, I like overdyed threads. It's not like I don't. I actually prefer the feeling of stitching with DMC because I feel like overdyes sometimes are a little more delicate or like not as plump. That's just been my experience. I do sometimes encounter a DMC that feels a lot like an overdyed. That's like just my weird experience. But usually I feel like the DMC, like individual threads, are just a little plumper than overdyed threads. I don't know. Does that make sense? Or is that just me? Anyway, I feel like I'm very rambly today, so sorry about that. But anyway, it gave me time. Her being away on vacation or, you know, winter break gave me time to really decide what I wanted to get. So I got a couple of pieces of fabric. I'll show you guys next time. One is for the autumn cloche. That's my plan for it, because I did buy the DMC for that too. And that's a start I would like to do this year for fall time or coming up to fall or whatever. Excuse me. And then I got another piece of Vintage Country Mocha because I love it. And a couple of charts and a little mini scissors. So I'll show you that when it comes or for next time. Yeah, I think that's all the stitchy talk I have for today, all the cross stitch talk. But now I want to show you and talk about knitting because I actually have a bunch. So if you're only here for cross stitch, that's totally cool. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me. But yeah, let's talk about some knitting. I showed this in my last video. This was just a 1x1 rib cowl that I decided to make from Stash Yarn. This is Plymouth Ariado in the color Garnet. And I think I used like a size 12 needle, something quite large. Okay, for heaven's sake, I'm trying to get to my projects here. Something quite large. I'll find it. It was almost done. No, 11, sorry. I didn't like how the 12 was so airy, actually. So this is a bulky yarn. But this is still quite an airy result, airy fabric. It's super soft. And I only had one skein in my stash, so I was like, and I have some left, but I didn't know what to do with it. I was struggling finding a project to do, so I was just like, this will be great. This will be a great thing to knit. And it is great, but it's been a very mild winter with the exception of that huge cold snap at around Christmas time. So I haven't worn it, but it's done. I finished it on New Year's Eve and I like it. The next thing I finished was a very long-term whip, and they are not blocked. That's not blocked either. I haven't blocked. I'm not a very good blocker with the exception of sweaters, and shawls. Like if they're lacy, I'll do that. But socks and accessories besides shawls, I'm not the best at blocking. It's not that I can't do it or feel like I don't have the skills. It's just laziness. It's pure laziness. And also these are like, they're going to get washed and I'm just going to be wearing them on my feet. So, but anyway, these were a car project that I've had going for quite a while. And these are just, they're not quite vanilla socks. They're ribbed. It's a 3x1 rib down the body and across the top of the foot. But this is just, you know, like my favorite type of sock to knit for myself because I like how it fits. I like that it kind of grips my foot. I don't like when socks get all saggy. I don't enjoy that. Some people don't like when socks are grippy. I prefer that actually. But anyway, so I finished these socks finally. It only took me a couple days. I got like a wild hair and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. My second sock had been somewhere in the heel flap for a bit. So these are Patton's Croy. This is Patton's Croy yarn. It's a self-striping yarn and it's in the color Sidewalk Chalk Stripes. So what do? I use a US size 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter needle. And I do, for myself, 60 stitch socks. So this top area is just a 1x1 rib. And then I moved down into the 3x1 rib down until the heel flap. I did a heel flap and gusset. I have done afterthought heels and I think they look really cute, but I don't like how they pull away from my heel too much. They don't stay on my foot and I don't like that. So I also like how sturdy the slip stitch heel is. It just gives a little extra something to the fabric. Obviously the heel turn and the gusset, and then I continued the 3x1 rib across the top of the foot but left the bottom of the foot to be plain stockinette because I didn't want to feel the texture on the bottom of my foot. And then I just did a wedge toe and a grafted, you know, Kitchener closure on both. So quite simple, nothing crazy or to write home about, but that's basically what I do for my socks. And I'm glad they're done. I haven't started a new pair yet, but I'm waiting because I actually, although I'm wanting to knit from stash for the most part, I don't have a massive yarn stash like some people, but I have enough that you know, it needs to be used. But I did order a little bit of yarn because Amy has now requested a pair of socks. So that's my next pair of socks is I'm going to cast on for Amy, but she wanted this cute, like I got her a white, but with speckles yarn from Knit Picks. And I also ordered some black fingering weight yarn from Knit Picks for my husband because he wants another watch cap, but in lighter weight yarn. So that's something I'll be doing too. And I got a few other skeins of sock yarn. The Stroll. I really like Knit Pick Stroll. Okay. The other knitting I've done is, let me show you the one thing that's on my iPad. I don't have it with me because I gave it to my stepson and he's not here right now. He took it with him. But I made just a simple, again, this is not blocked. He'll wash it eventually and hopefully lay it flat to dry. I'll have to remind him to do that, but it's just a watch cap, and it's a free pattern by Judith Durant, and it's literally called Watch Cap. It's a 1x1 rib. I used Karen Simply Soft that I had in my stash, so it's another acrylic yarn. Again, I prefer the natural fibers, but I had it, and I like it for hats. It's sturdy. It can deal with the washing machine and the kids and the sweat and, you know. But anyway, in like a dark olive green color. So that took me, I don't know, 10 to 12 days on and off of work with that. It was just slow going. I knitted on DPNs. I used size 6 needles. And I just, like, this was 1x1 rib also, but it was bulky weight and it went really fast, you know. Even though it was worsted weight yarn, the Caron Simply Soft and size 6 needles, which aren't tiny, it was just tedious. It was tedious, you know, but it's done and he likes it. So yeah, my husband now wants another watch cap. He already has one in a charcoal gray, but he wants black. So that's something else I'll be doing at some point. Another thing I worked on is, this has been a very long-term project, not because it's hard, but because I am not dedicated, apparently. This is the Happy Place shawl by, I'm sorry, NCL Knits, but I know her name is Nadia, okay. Crétin Le Chien. Please forgive my French. I did try. And it's a black and white photo because, you know, color printer is whatever. So I actually did do a couple more sections of this. I did the garter stripe section and the secondary lace section. So not too bad. My next thing is the blue section. It will be a blue section of Fisherman's Rib. And I'm using Madeline Tosh singles. And then their colors are escaping me right now, but it's a dark navy and this orangey color. I actually considered for a while frogging this. Not that I don't like it, but I was like, I don't need it, you know? But I feel like I'm far enough in, I should just keep going, and I will like it when it's done. I don't know, I just kind of got it in my head that I wanted to frog stuff. Because, so I've knit myself almost 4 sweaters, and I'm in possession of none of them now, which is kind of a bummer. I'll get back to that in a second, but these project bags are from 2AM Designs on Etsy. 2 is spelled out TWO, and then AM Designs on Etsy. Her project bags are super affordable. This is big size is like $22, I want to say. I just checked again because it's been a while since I've ordered from her, but I really like them. And the smaller one, I have a smaller one that's like a sock or, you know, a single skein project size, and that was $11. So if you compare that to the other prices on Etsy for knitting project bags, that's really good. So I would recommend you check her out. I mean, she just has whatever she has up there, you know, but anyway, what was I saying about sweaters? Okay, so I've knit myself almost 4 sweaters in the past, 3 to completion, 1 to almost completion, and then I frogged it. And I'm in possession of none of them anymore, which bums me out. But the one I finished and hated how it looked on me because it was a poor design choice for my body shape, and I should have probably knit it with more ease at that time. And so I gave that to my sister. I hope she wears it, though she probably doesn't. I don't know. And then I knit a Winston pullover, which I liked, but I knitted in acrylic yarn from Michaels, and it was just too hot, and I didn't like how it looked on me, even though it fit fine. So I ended up donating that. I knit a weekender sweater out of Swish worsted from Knit Picks and Lost Lake Heather colorway. I knit that to completion. I loved knitting the sweater, but that was the project that taught me that I don't really like things with 10 inches of positive ease on me, at least not that style, like maybe not a drop shoulder. And I don't know, it was way too big then, and then was back before I've lost weight. So I couldn't even, there was no way I could wear it now. And I didn't even wear it then because it was so big that I felt goofy, uncomfortable, you know? And then I knit almost to completion, a Novelli sweater by Caitlin Hunter. And then again, I lost a lot of weight and had started it with too much ease anyway. So I decided to frog that. So, you know, that's kind of a bummer. I decided to frog the Weekender sweater the other couple weeks ago because it was just sitting in my drawer and I was feeling guilt about it because I wasn't wearing it, even though like logically I couldn't wear it because it was a gajillion sizes too big. But it's like I spent all that time doing it and then I wasn't wearing it and, you know, blah, blah. So anyway, I frogged it. So now I have another sweater's quantity of yarn waiting for me to do something else with. But it's perfectly good yarn, you know. Anyway, I have been wanting to knit some sweaters. But I was waiting for a long time because I was still losing weight fast. Now I'm still kind of losing, but it's like really slow. Like really slow. So, you know, I feel okay about casting on a sweater, which I did this morning, finally. And this is a sweater I have planned for a long time. Even prior to losing weight, I had yarn that I wanted to use for it. I had bought a sweater's quantity of Knit Picks, Wool of the Andes worsted, or Wool of the Andes tweed, sorry, worsted in Welly's Heather. That's what it looks like. It's upstairs. I didn't feel like pulling it out, so I figured I'd show you on the iPad, but it's a black tweed. And I even swatched then, and this was years ago, I swatched then, but then I forgot, present day me forgot whether or not I had blocked the swatch or not, and I thought that I had. Turns out that I hadn't blocked the swatch, so if I had, I would have known that I had gauged, but I thought that I had blocked it and didn't. So I knit 2 other swatches with 2 different size needles, blocked them, realized they were way too big, re-swatched with the called for needle size, and blocked it and got gauged. And I was like, wow, I just wasted all that time. Having said all that, then upon further consideration, I realized that I didn't even want to knit the sweater in this yarn that I was swatching with because of the tweed. I was going to lose out on seeing this detail, this increased detail, which is like the whole special thing about this cardigan, which is the Felix Cardigan by Savory Knitting, or Amy Christoffers. And so after all that swatching that I did, very responsible of me, if you ask me, I think it was very responsible. I decided instead to pull out a different sweater's quantity of yarn, also Knit Picks, also Wool of the Andes, but this time not tweed. And this is in the color Claret Heather. And so yesterday I went ahead and used my ball winder and made a bunch of yarn balls. And I cast it on today, and it's kind of like I'm in the middle of the round, but really that's just the last short row. So I'm through the short row section already, and now I just have to do the raglan increases. That's the part that I'm at. So it doesn't really look like much, but I did do the short rows. I had to remind myself how to do short rows because it's been that long since I've done anything that required short rows, but I think it went well. I don't see any crazy holes or anything. I think I did it right. So yeah. So now I'm trying to think of what to use the Welly's Heather yarn for, and I'm thinking I may do something like that, which is the Juist #2 by Ankestrick. Just like a nice simple pullover. I may do something like that. Really, I want to do something simple so that the yarn can shine and not obscure any details. Like if you're spending time knitting details, you want them to be seen, right? To an extent at least. So anyway, but so far I feel like this has been a nice foray back into garment making because it's been very simple and easy, you know, knock on wood. Yeah. So that is where I am at with knitting. So I'm going to keep working on the sweater, hopefully when I'm done this, and cast on Amy's socks once that yarn gets here. And I'm going to, keep cross stitching too, but Sorry, my nose is itchy now, holding the wool. But yeah, I'm trying to do both. So it may be less of, you know, if I was doing just one hobby, I'd get more done with each thing, but that's okay. It's about having fun. I don't have to be pumping out products, right? So anyway, I really hope you're doing well. I'll put the chicken video at the end, I guess. So it's all muddy in their area, so because it's just been rain. So you'll notice that. Anyway, yeah, I hope you're doing well. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and keep stitching and happy stitching, and I will see you next time. Bye.